relief. You know, when you hear this sound, is it? Sometimes, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so then the topic, as we said, is what to do with difficult questions. I don't know. It really very much depends who is asking that question and whether this person is a Buddhist or not. And then again, you know, can you come with Buddhist views? This is when I was asked to come to Israel, actually, I thought, no, I don't want to go there, because I knew about the Holocaust, I also knew about karma, and I know that people would ask me that question. So I thought, how am I going to tell these people that, oh no, it is something happened in their past lives, they created actions, so that this is why they finished up in the concentration camps. So I thought, you know, I have no right to tell these people that it's their karma, because one thing is, how do I know? I don't know. I believe in the law of cause and effect. It's a belief, it's not a knowing, it's just a belief. For me it makes sense. But then I really didn't know, so I had to, first I said, no, I'm not coming, and I managed 2 years to escape to come by telling Irit Lahav. I said, oh, I'm not good enough that for you. Why don't you ask somebody who's Jewish? And then she asked Upton children. And then she came, twice, I think. And then I was asked again, so then I asked my teacher. First I thought, no. And then I asked my teacher, and then he said, yeah, it's okay, you can go. So then I came. And yeah, sure enough, I was asked to that question, what about the Holocaust? And it's a difficult question. But what I did, I said, well, I can only give you the Buddhist view, but you don't have to accept this. Yeah? But from my point of view, that is the cause, not in this life. Of course they didn't do that in this life, but in another life. And you know, being led to the view of karma when something big has just happened and you've never heard about karma, this is not beneficial. This is definitely not beneficial. So the way an ordinary person sees the world is like we have a lot of compassion for the people who get aggressed, for the victims, and we have anger for the people who causes it, like for the people who are the aggressor. If we would be realized, if we have a broader view, we would see the aggressor in the victim, which that we don't want to see, and we would see the victim in the aggressor. So somebody who is realized, he can kind of have compassion for both of them, knowing that at one point, you know, this will ripen on the other person, and if the victim does not let go of anger and aversion, when, you know, as you know, we are being thrown around in what is called samsara. Sometimes we're very powerful, sometimes we're not powerful, sometimes we're animals, sometimes we're humans, sometimes we're men, sometimes we're women. So if that connection, that karmic connection, these karmic forces are still very much there with hate and aversion and all this, we create very strong links, you know. Somebody that you hate you have a very strong link to that person, because you take that person with you wherever you go, even if the person is not there. All you need is somebody who looks a bit the same or talks a bit the same way, or who reminds you of that person, and the person is right next to you. And sometimes not even that, just the thought about what happened is coming back, and then the person again is there. So then when the roles are exchanged, and only subconsciously, or like only the karmic forces know, and of course they don't have intelligence, but it's impulses. That's what they do, and then they ripen in that direction that you will actually then pay it back. So when we are aware of that, I think then it's easier to work with that idea. Whatever I put out is going to come back, so I better be careful what I put out. Do you see what I mean? I mean, I had a few I had one woman in a course, in a 10-day course. She came to my room and she cried and she she tried to say something and I didn't understand what she was saying. And and so I said, look, sorry, I don't. It was quite good to say actually. When somebody is sobbing, I did this spontaneously. I didn't do this on purpose. I was quite stern and said, look, you need to calm down. I don't know what you're saying. So that calmed her down, and she told me that she had just got raped. Okay. So so I held her. I mean, what can you do at the moment? So I just took her into my arms, and then slowly she started to calm down. She was very calm, actually. She was, for somebody who has just been raped, the moment I said, look, I don't understand you, you need to calm down, and she was able to tell me what happened. And so we took the steps. I said, okay, let's see what we can do. So we went to the hospital and to the police and all this and all that, and it went quite well. She did say, because it was maybe on the 6th day of the course, she had heard about karma, so she did say, funny enough, that was the first thing that came to my mind, that I must have done this to somebody else, and she said it really helped. So she must be somebody that has heard it before in another life. It's like, otherwise it's not possible. The thing that happened is that she said, I want the group to know. Okay, so I said, are you sure? She said, yes, I want the group to know and I will tell the group what happened. So very courageous. But then she got aggressed by the women because they said, well, you need to because she wasn't angry. She really wasn't angry. So they were going, you are suppressing your anger, let it out, and these guys, and blah, 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 and all the men are bad and all this. And then I said, I had to stop it. I said, look, please stop aggressing her. For the moment she's okay. No need to kind of bring up anger superficially. Let's see what happens. She's well taken care of for the moment. She feels okay. And she felt afraid of the group who told her to be angry because she's probably just suppressing her anger. I'm still in contact with her. She's from Germany. When I go to Germany, we still see each other. And there seems to be no big result from that, which doesn't mean that now as man you can go around and rape the women that you want to rape, because some women are able to deal with this in a very good way, but that's quite rare. Okay? So that's quite rare. I had another occasion where somebody told me how she had been sexually abused by her father, and it's the first time that I heard it. Like you know, when you have contact with it, you hear it again and again and again, and you have to be careful not to become too kind of, oh yeah, I know what to say. There's no remedy, there's no one thing to say, you know, and now we're jumping to the most difficult thing anyway. So I was so, I can't even say what I was so kind of, she didn't see it on my face, but I didn't know what to say. I really did not know what to say. So, and again, I just said, yeah, I mean, it's difficult. This must be so difficult to continue to live with that. I think that's the only thing I said. 2 days later, she came back to me and she said, you can't imagine how much that helped me, that you did not kind of tell me how bad my father is and how you know, I have to be angry at him and all these, that you just listened. So in all these years of having people asking me these questions, I kind of discovered the power of listening. But really listening without going, what shall I say? And that's the most difficult thing. Because we do want to help. We want to be the person to make that person feel better. So don't take that burden upon you, because otherwise it makes you tense, and it makes you too much, you know, too much power, something like that. So just listen, and then sometimes if you do practice, sometimes even myself, I'm kind of surprised at my very beneficial answer that I just gave. And sometimes I just say, look, I really don't know what to say also. Yeah. Or sometimes I say, I wish I would know what to say, but I don't. Just be honest. I think this is the thing, and don't. You're not. Usually I also say I'm not a therapist. So if I feel the person is mentally very, very unstable, I don't touch it. I don't go there. I don't even try to help. Yeah. And also to make people understand that Buddhism is not the answer for everything. If you really want to practice Buddhism, you need to have a mind that is quite stable. And these people don't like to hear so much. And nobody likes to hear that your mind is too unstable to practice Buddhism. But sometimes, gently, very gently, you can lead somebody there to ask them if they are in therapy and that they need somebody who has this kind of knowledge, how to, this is what psychologists study. So how many of you are psychologists? So few. How come? Usually in this country, there's in every class there's at least 50 psychologists. 50%, I know 50. So okay. So this is what I mean, because sometimes they want to be helpful, but then it's not really, especially if you don't know the person, you don't know what they can take or not. Yeah, and then the more you know methods, or the more you practice yourself, the more you see what helps you, the more you understand your own mind, I think the more you will be able to help. I can give you a few examples of what Lama, questions that Lamas were asked. We had Ringo Tulko in Switzerland not long ago, and somebody who was agitated, you could see it, because he was talking about karma. It's a very difficult topic, because one thing is we're not so sure about rebirth. The other thing is we have very low self-esteem. So already we think we're bad people, and we're totally convinced of that, aren't we? Yeah. We are. We don't show it, We don't show it, but somehow we are, or let's say like this, we are not happy with what we are. Yeah, so a bit like that. And we have very, very high expectations that we should do everything right, we shouldn't do any mistakes, and everything that we touch should turn into gold and come out good. And that, of course, somebody who comes and asks for help, we should be able to help them. And then we invest time, and we see it as an investment, and we already, in the investing, there is a wish for a result. So we're not really, I'm talking we because I know how I am, so we're not really doing it. We're doing it with the wish to be able to be of help, but of help not just while you're doing it, but also that there is a good result, isn't it? So this is something that it's very good also to let go, because otherwise we start to feel like failures when we see that it didn't really help. But this is a Western problem. Yeah, that we're not happy with just doing something for the sake of doing it, and then we let go. Whatever result is there is not in my hands, and then that's good enough. You tried, didn't work, it's good enough. But it's so difficult. This is so difficult, because we do identify ourselves with having success. This is why, this question in Dharma groups, when people here have been on a weekend, what is the first question that people usually ask?
Retreats?
When you come back from a retreat or something, when you meet other Dharma practitioners, what's the first question?
Yeah,
Huh?
they ask if it's do something.
Well, no, not really, because this is very subjective. This you can't say. They ask you a very precise question.
Did you really didn't talk? That's why people ask.
Did you what?
Did you really didn't talk? Did you really was quiet?
Oh, okay. No, they don't ask me because I don't see everybody. So also I'm not silent. So no, as a teacher, to ask me as a teacher, what do you think people ask?
They ask you the question.
Yeah.
Are you happy? Do they understand?
How many students were?
Exactly. How many people came? So if I say 100, they go like, wow. If I say 5, they go like, what? So what does that show us? What does it show us? That 100 people is very successful, 5 is not good, so then what? I'm supposed to feel bad that only 5 people came? I'm supposed to blame the group who didn't publicize it? Or I'm supposed to blame what? I can blame my karma or something like that. So actually I stopped to refuse, I stopped, or I refused to answer that question. Because there's so much pressure on teachers that there should be a lot of people coming so that you can feel good. I mean, you see, I'm taking care of a center in Switzerland also, and we have teachers coming, and they say, well, if there's not at least 25, I'm not coming. And I say, okay, I'm sorry, I can't guarantee 25, you know, maybe they have time to come, maybe they don't, maybe they will, maybe so, but then you can't come, because how can I, what am I supposed to do? To take them by the hair and drag them here, and, or pay them something so that they come, or what is it? She says, well, it takes too much energy to only teach a small group. Is that true, you think?
It's only in our mind.
What do you think?
Sometimes.
It looks like it, it's true, but somebody said it's only in your mind. It's only in your mind. You see, if you, like the other, I became aware of that when the other day I had to translate for one person, right? So he said, I feel so bad, you only translating for me. I said, look, I'm saying exactly the same things, whether there's 100 people with earphones or 1. So why should you feel bad, or why should I feel kind of, it's not worthwhile, it's only one person. Yeah? But these are the hang-ups that we have. Yeah, about success and this and that and having an agenda, and so this is what you as teachers, I think, is good to be careful about. And also when you are, in case you become teachers and people invite you to come and teach, to please really tell the organizers, even if you don't mean it, because if you keep saying it, at the end you really mean it, so that's a good thing. Even if you don't mean it, tell them, look, it doesn't matter how many people come. Don't put them under pressure, please, because they are volunteers. They're doing a lot for you so that you can share what you have learned, and also for some of you it might become your livelihood. So if there's nobody inviting you, nobody asking you to teach, so then you're very dependent on them. Then on top of it, you put pressure on them that they should be a lot of people. So please don't. And people will love you for that. I tell you, when you tell them, look, it doesn't matter how many people come. Yeah, and you from your side, if you start saying it, even at the beginning, you will have hopes for many people to be there. So sometimes yes, and sometimes no. So don't measure yourself on the number of people who are there. And just again, look at your own motivation. Why am I doing this? Why do I think that it takes more energy to teach a small group than a big group? I had to learn that in Switzerland. I came from Tushita, where we had like 70 people every time at least. And then you go there, sometimes there's one. Sometimes there's one person. Yeah? Sometimes there's 2, sometimes 25. So it's very difficult. It's very, very difficult to let go of not measuring yourself on the number of participants, so that you can still be relaxed even with one. The one who came, she was very happy. And she came back again and again and again and again, to have a private lesson, because it was a kind of continuing force. So it's so wonderful that it's just the 2 of us. So then I thought, well, she's happy. So, the others who are not here, they're not unhappy. So why should I not be happy as well? Anyway, so this Ringo Tulku, so he was talking on karma. And so somebody said, well, my business partner, he kind of cheated me out of a lot of money, and I could go to court, but it's a person who doesn't see that he did something wrong, and he's very angry, and I'm afraid of him, and so she said, well, as a Buddhist, what would you do? Would you go to court, or would you not go to court? he said very quietly, he said, well, you know, whether you go to court or not, it doesn't matter. It's really not important, but you have to work with your anger against that person. Yeah. So whether the person that if somebody, this is a good question to give also, when somebody feels that they have been abused in whatever way, or cheated, or hurt, or harmed, or whatever. Now, if it's something that they can go to court, by all means, you know, if you want to go through the whole process of getting lawyers and going to court, why not? But still, that not to have this illusion that then, in case that the person gets fined or put into prison or whatever, that it will make you feel better about the whole thing. Not necessarily. So the view of karma, what kind of, I don't want to just talk myself, I would like to make that a bit into a discussion. What kind of experiences have you made when something has happened to you that you didn't like so much, and you thought, oops, opla, something coming back here. Did it help or did it not help so much? It's not for us to help, by the way, to feel better. Something negative happens to you, you feel bad. This is normal. This is another thing. Yeah? Please don't go around telling people as a spiritual practitioner you should not feel bad because all you think is about karma and about emptiness, so why are you feeling bad? There's nobody there to whom it happened. Also, it's in the past, so just let go. And like this. So please don't talk like that to people, even if you are able to do this. Even if you are able to do and just say, okay, you know, good thing nothing bigger happened, because this is what I see with spiritual practitioners, they change. All of a sudden the view about the whole thing totally changes after a few years. Instead of complaining about what happened, you kind of start to see what could have happened, which would have been much worse. I have a good example of a nun friend of mine. Somebody gave her their apartment, and it was somebody very rich with like very, you know, antique kind of furniture. And so it was Christmas, so around before Christmas in Europe we have like these round things which are made of needles, you know, from pine trees, pine needles, and it's 4 candles on it, and each Sunday, 4 Sundays before Christmas you light one, and then the next, and then the next, and Christmas it's all 4 of them. So she forgot to turn it out when she left the house. And luckily it just, you know, it burned down, it burned through the needles, and it burned a black hole into the, whatever, the thing. But that was it stopped. So she realized what could have happened. She could have burned the whole house. So when the woman came back, she said, oh my gosh, Eva, you know, imagine what could have happened. I could have burned your whole house, you know. Somebody else would have maybe tried to hide it, or go, oh, I'm so sorry, this happened. And then it becomes big. Yeah. So please also don't do that to manipulate people so that they're not angry at you. But in general, if you see people who start to really practice Dharma, instead of being totally devastated, they think about all the things that could have happened that would be much worse, and then they say, oh yeah, it's not so bad. But some people are not like this. So probably the people who will ask you these questions, they cannot reason like that. Yeah, so please understand that, and don't throw them the Dharma kind of in their face and all these wonderful methods, because then afterwards it can become like poison instead of being medicine. And then they feel bad that they cannot apply it. So it's very good for us to see when something happens. Like the other day I didn't find my wallet, you know, and I could feel that, you know, I feel bad about it. I get nervous, and good thing that nobody was in the house, because if they would have wanted to help me look for it, I would have kind of shouted at them. I know, there's kind of, you know, always this question, where did you have it last? Well, if I would know where it is. So I was totally convinced that I couldn't have lost it, because I was also convinced I had it in the bag, but it's nowhere because I didn't take it out. And so it must have been in the house, and it was in the house. Actually, I started saying Tara mantras, and then I found it. So I was like, you know, even when I finally, after kind of storming through the apartment where I'm staying for half an hour and I'm looking like 10 times in the same place, and it's still not there. Do you also do this? Yeah? Like empty your bag 10 times, as if maybe the 11th time is there. The refusal to believe that it's not there. It's totally refuse it, isn't it? So after doing that 10 times, then I finally thought, I could recite some Tara mantras. Even I need time to kind of think like that, and then I found it, and then I'm surprised that it works. So even after these 30 years of practice, I'm still surprised sometimes how well this whole thing works. Okay, probably just reciting the mantras calmed me down, and then I saw it. So it's not that there's something external that kind of helped me find it. So this is what I mean. It's like, it's a difficult topic, and unfortunately nobody has written yet a handbook what you answer in what situation. But it's good to understand how we ourselves also, even though we have all these wonderful methods, I go into, although it's mini, but I go into mini drama first, before I go into dharma. Yeah? So it takes me a while to then see how agitated I am, and then to calm down and all this. There's moments where it goes automatically, and then also I'm surprised. There's moments when I feel I start getting, I don't even have to think about it anymore, and I go to really, to the breath, and then to feel the sensations in the body, and then not pushing it to open up, but then slowly it opens up by itself. That's another thing. Don't push anything. Don't think that this should work. Yeah. If things are going well, we're happy. Whether you want or not, you're happy. If things are not going well, we're unhappy. That's okay. But then to balance it out a little bit. Or does everybody who is sitting here, you think about karma, then that's it, you feel calm, and you say, yeah, of course, so I need to now see what I'm putting out with body and speech, yeah? Or just this first thing, always, what do we do first thing? Always blame somebody else, isn't it? Yeah, always blaming. It's such a habit, always blaming outside. And not to see that things are really totally labeled by the mind. You label it as good, it becomes good. You label it bad, it becomes bad. And unfortunately, usually we put the label happiness on the wrong things. Like having success, everything goes easy, everybody loves us, life is very easy, very joyful. Then we label that's good, that's happiness. Yeah. Instead of going, there might be trouble in the future because I'll miss it. Yeah. Then when things go difficult, we lose things, people don't like us, we're not successful. It's hardly anybody who labels this, this is great, this is really good. Now I can really see if it works, if the practice works. Yeah. Because how are you going to see if your practice works if everything goes well? How? Question. There is a way to see that your practice is going well and things go well. How? There's a question to you.
Less drama.
Huh?
Less drama.
Less drama, yeah. But what by doing something, when things go well, by practicing what?
Less attachment.
Less attachment.
You don't get too excited about it.
Huh?
You don't get too excited
You
about
don't
it.
get too excited about it?
You're talking about when things are not going well.
No, when they're going well.
When they're going well?
Yeah. Do you still have when they're not going well and it's really not going well, then we want to practice, isn't it? Then it's like renunciation comes just like this. Samsara sucks, I have to get out of it. I have to realize emptiness and all this. Then we're trying to find the I. When things are going well, do we also try to find the I that is so excited about it? Do we
Yes,
also...
we're afraid to lose it.
Huh?
We can be afraid to lose it. When everything goes well, sometimes we're afraid to lose it.
Yeah, already when it goes well.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but you will lose it anyway, so there's no point being afraid to lose it. No, but what would be the practice at that moment? This is what I mean. What would be the practice? So that doesn't drag you too much down, because when you go like, oh, I'm going to lose it, then it's fear. Huh?
Are we doing
Everything's
well
changeable.
with the surround of us?
Yeah, exactly. You want to share it. May this my life going well now. Maybe of benefit to others, for example. And not just, parading yourself and showing off how well you are. Yeah, maybe of benefit to somebody. Then you practice love. When things are not going well, then you think like, may this me not being well now, may nobody have to endure this suffering. Well, then you calm down again. You see, well, like when we give these moments of, when we give them space, it looks like spacious. It's not spacious at all. It's very tense in here. Yeah. When we give them space by thinking, may all beings enjoy moments like this when everything goes well, then you give it space, and then you calm down. When things don't go well, and then again you say, may nobody have to endure these moments, then also you give it space, and then you calm down again.
I thought about gratitude.
Gratitude, for example, so yeah. Just this one, this one sentence. Oh, I'm so fortunate sometimes to be really aware that, things are going bad. Well, I'm so fortunate. Doesn't come automatically. This one we would have to put somewhere. Yeah. So if somebody is a Dharma practitioner, and if you are using these methods, then you can give them these methods, of course, when they ask difficult questions. Yeah. Now, most of your students maybe will not be very serious Dharma practitioners, or will they? Where do they usually, what do they usually do? I mean, what are they, where do they come from? Or, how far are they with their spiritual practice? Yeah, like would you mind sharing a few stories with what happens in the prisons when they ask these kind of questions?
Like what happened when they're practicing, or can you repeat the question?
Well, I mean, usually prisoners, they didn't have that great wonderful youth when they were small, wasn't it? Do they ever ask you why they were mistreated when they were kids, or not?
Not that much.
I'll say, not that much means sometimes, or never.
It depends how much they're ready to share.
Okay, so there we go.
I prefer
Yeah,
to-
please. No, you have to.
I have to. Okay.
Because so everybody can hear you.
I'm trying to be specific, so
Yeah.
give me a specific question and I give you a specific answer.
Okay. Has anybody ever asked you why, if they were misused or treated in a bad way, somebody was in prison, why it happened to them?
No, actually not.
No. Okay. Was anybody ever asked you such a question by one of your students?
Yes. Not about crime that they...
So we have to kind of...
Well, people ask that about losing someone close to them, like young sister.
Yeah.
Why did it happen?
Mm.
Why us? Why my family? And in other case, it was a young woman that lost her sister from cancer, and her mother got the same one. And she asked, why did it happen to our family?
Yeah.
So sometimes when people get very lost
Yes.
and brave, and they ask.
So what did you tell them?
That this is part of life. This this is what happens,
Exactly.
and it happens.
Yeah.
And now let's figure out and let's see what happens to you
Mhm.
now,
Yeah.
and to connect them to what they feel and to their
Mhm.
senses and minds,
Yeah.
and to accept
Mhm.
what happened.
Yeah, that's a very good answer. And also to, even the person who has departed, that's another thing you can tell them, that they can still do things for them by, maybe connecting with them and hoping that they're well wherever they are. So that in order to get in contact with their feelings of love, to say thank you to the
Yes.
person that they have been accompanying them for a short while, but now they had to go. And so again, this whole thing, this view about rebirth, it helps a lot, because then you can say that you will meet again. Yeah. There was one saying on a gravestone. So. No. Okay. So there was one saying on gravestone, is like, when I am dead. So this is also quite good to think that the person is not totally gone, like the memory is still there,
Yes.
and this, and then also to tell the people, what do you think that this person would like you to do now? Do you think they would want you to be unhappy for the rest of their lives, or do you think they would want you to let them go? So the saying went like something like, when I am dead, then cry for me, but not too much.
Mm.
Think of me from time to time, but not too often. And as you think of me as I was in life. If you leave me in peace, I will leave you in peace. And while you are living, let your thoughts be with the living. So that very much helps sometimes. Like, you're not telling them you should do like this. I just tell them that what I saw on that gravestone, and that this would be something that maybe the deceased would want to tell them. While you are living, let your thoughts be with the living. Yeah. Has anybody ever have an occasion where a left wife or man was betrayed by their partner and then was devastated because the partner went off with somebody else, and you were asked, what shall I do?
Mm.
So what did you tell them? Oh, find somebody else. There's so many people in this world. Why does it have to be that one? So it's very helpful if you knew the person before, because this happened to me. A friend of mine, I knew her before, and we really hung out in nightclubs quite a lot, the two of us, before she met him and married him. And then he left her after, 20 years of marriage, somebody younger. And so she was devastated. She said, I can't live without him. This is terrible. I said, look, I knew you before you knew him, and you were quite okay. You were able to live without him. We had a very good time. You were very happy. So what you were thinking now, this will last 2 years, and then I think you will go back to normal. She thought I was so cruel, and she said, you Buddhism? I said, this is not Buddhism. This is... She was a friend of mine, so I could talk to her like this also, and I know her. Now it's like 7 years later, she has another partner, and she's very happy, and all. It lasted 2 years. So it's like, if you know the person and you have the courage to say that, it's really good to. It won't help immediately, and it's not there for them to make their pain go away. It's painful when a partner leaves you. It's very painful, especially if you're still attached to the person, which you think you love them, but it's attachment. But just to remember, to remind them that you were quite okay without him. It's okay, you can live without him. Yeah, so like that. That's another thing you would be able to say to somebody like, when that happened, See, my brother died very young, and I know my sister-in-law really well, and I can't give her these thoughts, I can't give her these methods, because I know it wouldn't help, and she would get angry, and it wouldn't work. Because my brother was probably the only person that I know that was really totally against that I had become a nun, a Buddhist nun, because he thought that's something to be ashamed of, that his sister is a Buddhist nun, although I was never in Switzerland, so, you know, it's like... But he was very disturbed by that. Don't know why, but he was. And his wife, my sister-in-law, was very loyal to him. There was a very good marriage. And so, you know, something that would help somebody who is slowly letting go, because, of course, now it's 20 years that he died. Yeah. So, of course, she still thinks that they would still be together, and still a happy couple, and nothing would have happened. But I could tell her, look, he could have fallen in love with another woman. What would you then have done? Because you see, when friends of hers come to see her and they complain that their husband went off, she says, but he's still alive. And the friend says, I prefer if he would have died. Not joking. They think they would suffer less if he would have died. She thinks she would suffer less if he would have found another woman and he's still alive. So you see, we don't see other people's problems because we always, with this kind of what they're called mirror neurons, we understand when somebody tells us their story, especially when we have lived through it as well, or we see it with others. The problem is with our compassion, then we get stuck in our own story. So that's another danger when somebody kind of tells you their whatever difficulties or whatever. It doesn't have to be big things, it can also be small things. I had a broken wrist at one point, and then of course people see it because you have a cast. I have never heard so much about other people's broken bones while I was walking around with that thing on my arm. And I can feel that I'm doing the same thing sometimes. Somebody tells me something, and then I have a wish or almost an urge to kind of tell them my own thing, what happened to me, as if that makes them feel better. You don't have to do that. Yeah? And this is where your mindfulness comes in, and you, no, I'm not going to say that. I just go to listen. But listening is really a very, very good thing. Yeah. And to affirm also that, yes, it's difficult. So that they don't have to kind of to defend themselves, to say, yes, I maybe don't understand what it means because I've never gone through that, but just by thinking about if that would happen to me, I think, I don't know how you bear it. It's also a good thing to say to people, you are so courageous to bear that. Yeah. I don't know what I would do. Instead of you coming with good things, what you would do, if you were them, you're not them. You are you. Yeah. So like this. Then also this Lama, this Ringu Tulku. So somebody else got a bit upset. Because, what was it? He also said there was this woman, this young woman who came to see him and she wanted to commit suicide because that's, you know, sometimes people come and ask or say, look, my life is too difficult, I don't want to live anymore. Now, of course, if you are a Buddhist, then you point out that you schlep your problem with you in your next life, so then there's not much point. And also just to maybe just to maybe also to tell them that there is always continuity. Like, you know, sometimes we really think that we stand with the back against the wall, but there's always continuity. I mean, I'm sure many people who sit in here have had this feeling it won't continue. Yeah? Or you don't know what I'm talking about. Like really despairing of bills that you can't pay, the kids who are not doing what you want them to do, a neighbor who is kind of really impossible and just abusing you, and yeah, You have all friendly neighbors? Where is the friendly neighbor that came in this evening?
No.
Huh? Do you all have only friendly neighbors? No. Exactly. So again, it's like, life is difficult, sometimes also, again, Buddhism can really give you a lot of tools if you study it before it happens.
And apply it.
And apply and train it, exactly. Use it instead of going into the drama. You go first into the mini drama, which we will. Yeah, but then maybe at one point you become, I'm supposed to go do this and do that. Apply it, as Natalie says. Exactly, if you don't apply it, you never know that it's going to work. So Buddhism can give you a lot of tools. The Buddha says life sucks. Life is difficult. This is what he says, but we refuse to believe it. See, how many of you wake up in the morning and go very happily say, wow, I'm not sick. I can get up. How wonderful. How many of you have that as first thought in the morning? Nobody. We try, yeah, okay. From time to time we kind of think of it.
After I get well from sick, then I say...
Yeah. This is the kind of happiness that we know. We need to suffer and then the suffering to go away. Then we call this happiness. Yeah. We need something to compare it with. Then we appreciate. Because we don't realize what could have happened that night. We could have been sick, we could have appendicitis, we could have had a heart attack, we could have, the house could have burned, and we could have intoxication with smoke, so we can't breathe. All of this could have happened that night. Nothing happened. I can get up and I can go to work. How wonderful. Yeah, I have work, I can go to work. You see, the internet is so helpful. There's all these happiness quotes on the internet. So when you don't feel so well, then kind of you go there. So Buddhism, in Buddhism we say life is difficult. And there's causes for it, which are our negative emotions. And so I have to give workshops I don't have to, but I volunteered to give workshops, introduction to Buddhism to teenagers. So one thing is they don't want to be there, which is, I have 45 minutes to tell them what Buddhism is. I only have them once. So it's a very challenging job I have there. But Buddhism, from Buddhist point of view, I take very little. Life is difficult, or more, it's very easy in our life to be stressed and to be frustrated. It's very easy. It really doesn't need much. Then first noble truth. Then second noble truth, reacting with negative emotions not only doesn't help, but it actually makes it worse. That we know. Everybody knows that. The third one, people don't know. It is possible to work with these emotions without having to without suppress it or without having to let them out, and then how? And then I usually start to talk about their positive sides so that they can come in contact with that. Yeah. So I showed them a rap video of Mipam Rinpoche, which is called What About Me? So the rap goes he runs around, it's more or less black and white, it's in New York City, so he runs around to find happiness. He buys this, he goes there, he does that, and still no happiness, nowhere to be found. Doesn't give me more love, it doesn't give me more peace. Then he even does a spiritual practice, that also doesn't help. And then something changes in the video, and then it's what about you? Yeah, so then they have these two aspects, I first or you first. Yeah, so then they see this, and then I let them discuss the advantages of you first, but then also the disadvantages of you first. Otherwise it's too simple, the advantages of you first and the disadvantages of me first. It's everybody knows that. But that there's also disadvantages of you first. So I let them discuss it and find it out themselves. And that's a very good way also of answering difficult questions, by just asking the people, what do you think you could do now? by letting their own wisdom also come up a little bit, you know. What do you think would help you now? Then of course they say, I don't know. Then at least they know that they don't know. Yeah. And you can say, well, if you don't know, how should I know? Well, yeah, you know, they expect something from you, you don't even know them. You see, all these expectations that we have towards other people, we don't see how unrealistic they are because we don't bring them up to our brain. They're somewhere down here. You have to help me now. And you allow them to put you under that pressure that somebody who has been abused or somebody that has lost their child or their mother or father when they were very young, that you should make them feel better. How? It's impossible. Yeah? You're not God. And sometimes, you know, when you say accept, you have to accept. It's good to accept. Of course, it helps to accept, but sometimes it's quite good to come from the other side by not accepting it, by not rejecting it. That's already quite a big step. And when they understand that this kind of thing, I don't know what to do, that would make me feel better. You also don't know. To see, well, there's nothing we can do. So that is the first step towards acceptance, by really understand there's nothing one can do. Yeah. And then again, there is more space. Meditations that you can do, like meditation practices, techniques, is by each out-breath opening up, becoming wide. Not so much let go. Let go, I think for Westerners, it's not working so well, the let go thing. Because the let go thing is like, go away. I don't want you. You should not be here. Go away. Opening up. Opening up, becoming spacious, that is sometimes helping a bit. But it doesn't, the thing is, you know, when we say it helps, in what way do we expect all this to help? Question to you. In what way do we expect all this to help? No, even us, I mean, we're so caught up into this dualistic thinking, this is good, this is bad, this I want, this I don't want. So our mind is stirred up all the time, or more tense maybe is a better word. Yeah? When we get what we don't want, we get tense. And then the space is gone, and when the space is gone, the nature of our mind is